Hello, everybody. I'm David Simchi-Levi. I'm on the faculty at MIT. I would like to invite you to my new class on supply chain digitization and management organized by the National Institute of Industrial Engineering in Mumbai, India. This class.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Honorable Chairman Shri Kiran Shetty, sir. Respected Director Professor Manoj Tiwari, sir. Esteemed Professor David Simchi-Levi, sir. Shri Rampraveen Swaminathan, sir. CEO Mahindra Logistics Limited. Ms. Sindhu Gangadharan, Senior VP and MD, SAP Labs India. Mr. Atul Kulkarni, sir. Member, Board of Governance NITIE. Darshana Dabral, Joint Secretary and Financial Advisor, Minister of Education. Esteemed guests, invitees, respected faculty members, and my dear friends. A very warm welcome to everyone for the closing ceremony of this global certification course on supply chain management and digitization. NITIE is honored to have you all on this esteemed panel today. We will soon be joined by today's chief guest, Honorable Cabinet Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji. To begin with, I'd like to invite our director and course instructor, Professor Manoj Tiwari, sir, to officially welcome the dignitaries.
Thank you, Atharva. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Chairman, Shri Kiran Shetty, sir, respected Professor David Simchi-Levi, Shri Rampraveen, Swaminathan, Madam Sindhu Gangadharan, esteemed guest, invitees, and our board member, Shri Atul Kulkarni ji, and my respected faculty members, dear students, and ministry officials. In this context, first of all, I extend my very warm welcome to everyone. And we at NITIE extremely proud to have such an esteemed set of panelists for today's closing ceremony of a global certification course on supply chain digitization and management. The course was organized by NITIE in association with Professor David Simchi-Levi, who is a well-known authority and thought leader in the domain of supply chain management. And he is the one who has credited with giving a lot of new initiatives and directions that how to sustain and how to mitigate the risk, as well as some of the ongoing disruptions in the logistics sector. And he is credited with a very prestigious assignment, world's top journal, that is editor-in-chief of management science. He is the recipient of the prestigious Informs Impact Prize 2020 for his work on supply chain resilience. Our chairman, Shri Kiran Shetty ji, is Board of Governor Chairman NITIE Mumbai, and he is also chairman of All Cargo Logistics. He is one of the most humble person who has achieved great heights through All Cargo Logistics. Shetty was conferred with Belgium's highest civilian honor, distinction of Commander of the Order of Leopold II by HM King Philippe in 2015. It is our pleasure to have you, sir. And about Rampraveen Swaminathan ji, he is the CEO of Mahindra Logistics Limited, a leading 3PL solution providers with over a decade of experience. He has a strong presence across the country. His company, Mahindra Logistics, is well known, and they have a very strong presence in the country. And they are providing a lot of supply chain and enterprise mobility solutions to many other firms. And about Mrs. Sindhu Gangadharan, she is the Senior VP and MD, SAP Lab India. And Madam, I have been following your posts and videos, and I can assure you, everyone here watching this session live and very eager to hear from you. So SAP is world's leading provider of business software solutions and the market leader in the enterprise application software with their focus on technology revolutions. Now over to the Tharwa, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call upon the lead student coordinator for this course, Rishu Agarwal, to present the course journey and the success story of this course.
Thank you, Atharva. Atharva, can you please? Yeah, thank you. Atharva, is the screen visible? Is the slides visible?
Yes, Rishu, you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Before beginning with the course journey, I think we should all acknowledge also the fact that NITIE was behind everything that we have been doing as a part of this course. That we have been doing as a part of this course. So to highlight a few very interesting facts about NITIE, NITIE has always been known as the leading institute for supply chain management and operations. And in the recently concluded 2020 NIRF rankings, NITIE was named as the number 12 institute in the NITIE was named as the number 12 institute in the NITIE was named as the number 12 institute in the country. Also, just to highlight a few important facts about the placements of NITIE, NITIE's highest salary has always been above a package of 50 plus lakhs, and the average salary is always around 20 plus lakhs. NITIE has a strong linkage with private and public sectors, national research institutes, other academic institutions, universities, government organizations, and communities. To now moving ahead with the course. So I think the idea of the course inception was originated in the mind of our beloved Professor Manoj Tiwari. He then interacted with Professor David Simchi-Levi and the course was initiated. With the beginning of the course, the idea was to connect everyone to the new concepts of supply chain management, especially because in the post-COVID world, this was the need of the hour. So a few important facts that we had about the course right from the beginning were that it should focus on supply chain resiliency, flexibility. It should focus on green supply chain. It should also focus majorly on the digitalization in the supply chain, along with risk pooling and risk sharing. And I'm sure the participants will agree that we have been able to deliver on some of these aspects. To highlight our beloved course instructors, Professor David Simchi-Levi needs no introduction. He is the most renowned professor and thought leader in the field of supply chain, and we are very grateful that he agreed to be a part of this. Professor Manoj Tiwari himself has won the most influential researcher award in the domain of operations and supply chain management and is one of the top researchers in the country. Thank you so much, sir. To elaborate a little bit upon the course execution part of it. So a very interesting fact was the course was completely developed in-house. There was no external support that we had taken apart from the WebEx streaming platform. A few initiatives for the marketing that we had launched included the digital marketing campaign, included the student ambassador program, and also a lot of peer-to-peer publicity, which involved sending out a lot of mails, reaching out to several companies, and through also various student ambassadors in various different colleges. The course was led by our 3 faculty members along with a team of 6 PGP students. And every week, more than 2000 plus participants were regularly logging into the lectures and learning from the 2 stalwarts. To highlight a few important facts about the Student Ambassador Program, the reach of the Student Ambassador Program was more than 1 lakh views on D2C, as you can see on my screen. The course received massive media coverage. We had tweets from great politicians like Mr. Suresh Prabhu, Mr. Sanjay Dhotri, and also we have been able to successfully publish 2 newspaper articles in Times of India plus also Indian Express. To elaborate about the outreach of the program, I think for a course this large, the outreach has to be massively large. And that was, as you can see on the screen, it was very much visible. On Facebook and on LinkedIn combined, we reached a social media engagement of more than 500 plus impressions, 500K plus impressions, with more than 1 lakh plus video views across various different platforms. And this was all possible because of the in-house team. To highlight other important factors about the course currently has 2,500 plus registered participants from 13 plus countries, which includes 250 plus different organizations along with 1,000 plus professionals and 1,500 plus students. You can see at the bottom of the screen some of the important countries that were a part of this course. And I would now highlight a few more major companies that were a part of this course, and also the educational institutes that were a part of this course. You can see all the major IITs, the major IIMs, and all the major academic institutions of our country. We had sufficient representation from them, and also sufficient representation from all the top leading industries of our country. Apple, All Cargo Logistics, General Mills, Micron. General Mills and Micron were some of the biggest participants of this course with more than 50 plus participants from one company of theirs, along with a few international participants as well from their sites across the world. So moving ahead. Very recently, I think the participants would agree that we had just launched the course feedback form yesterday only, because yesterday was technically the last lecture. So I'm very proud to state that as per the participant feedback that we received meeting objective feedback of 4.51 out of 5, which is a very good rating. Also, more than 99.5% people who wanted that they will again pursue any other course that has been issued by NITIE. In terms of the ratings that was given to the team for the course execution was 4.6, which again just proves the caliber that NITIE has in terms of executing courses like these at such a massive scale. Along with this, it was also a very surprising factor that we had 85% plus attendance across all the lectures for this particular course, with more than 20 lectures for 30 hours and 6 quizzes spread across the entire 10-week duration. I would briefly pause on this one particular slide, which highlights two of the feedbacks written by prominent industrialists, Mr. Amul and Mr. Mayur. We also thank both of you for writing such good feedbacks for us. We also had a few more feedbacks. We'll publish them later as well in the course report. Just to highlight one other important slide, this was the inauguration slide where we had a lot of big industry stalwarts. We had Mr. Anil Sahasrabudhe, AICT chairman. We had Dr. R.S. Sodhi, and we had Mr. Suresh Prabhu as well in the inauguration ceremony of the course. This is just one of the regular classes of the course and how it looks like for all the people out there to view. And with that, I would end this presentation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the participants, for making this course a great success. Over to you, Atul.
Thank you, Reshu. I can assure all the viewers that behind this course, there has been a lot of hard work by student and faculty coordinators, and that's why it has been a great success. Thank you, Reshu, once again. Now we have with us our first keynote speaker, Mr. Rampraveen Swaminathan. He is the CEO of Mahindra Logistics Limited, a leading third-party logistics solution provider with over a decade of experience. They have a strong presence across the India and in the field of supply chain management and enterprise mobility solutions. Sir, I'm pretty sure the last year must have been very challenging as well as exciting at the same time for a company like Mahindra Logistics. We all are honored to have you with us on the panel. And I welcome you once again to this panel, and over to you, sir. Rampraveen, sir? Sir, can you say something? We are not able to hear you, sir. Yeah,
can you hear
better,
me?
Sir.
I am. All right. Okay, great. So, all right. So, but thank you very much for those kind words. So, Honorable Shri Nitin Gadkari, members of the Board of Governors and faculty, of course, Mr. Shashi, Kiran, Shetty, fellow members and participants of the course. It's obviously a pleasure to join you all today for the closing ceremony of NITIE's course on supply chain digitization and management. The importance of supply chains, I think, is intuitively understood by all of us. There's nothing dramatically new to add there. If you have to make in India, then we have to move in India, and supply chains have to work in harmony and synchrony for that to happen. Clearly, for India's continued emergence and growth, world-class supply chains will be critical. And as the recent pandemic has shown, supply chains today are more integrated globally, yet more fragile than ever before. And therefore, it's going to be really important for that entire ecosystem to evolve to meet India's long-term aspirations as a nation and our population's aspiration as consumers and participants in our economy. The Indian logistics industry is a key part of that overall supply chain ecosystem. The logistics is around 12 to 14% of GDP, and the sector has an annual turnover of over $215 billion. The logistics sector is a significant source of permanent and seasonal employment across the nation. As we have seen today with the growth of digital platforms and e-commerce, that there is a significant increase in that seasonal employment pattern as well. Despite the scale and significance of the industry, we are yet highly fragmented and very informal. Over the past several decades and more recently, the industry has seen increased formalization and evolution with the introduction of GST reforms such as e-way bill and the growth of infrastructure. More importantly, I think there's been a significant growth in technology and adoption of technology in supply chain management and in logistics. And that has been a key part of this growing transformation as well. The industry has, despite all its challenges, the industry has always risen to anything which is presented as an opportunity or challenge to it. And like in the recent pandemic, I think the logistics industry really was the lifeline of the recovery or the backbone of the recovery program. I know for us ourselves and like many others in the industry, we were down in many places only for 3 or 4 days. And thousands of employees and organizations across the industry rose to the challenge to kind of get India back on its feet again. Our own journey in Mahindra Logistics has kind of mirrored this industry evolution. As Paris pointed out earlier, we are among India's leading 3PL players. Our strategic focus is on supporting enterprises with integrated and customized solutions. We integrate across a wide range of services across transportation, storage, and fulfillment, leveraging our partner network and technology framework. Today, with over 500 locations across India, more than 17 million square feet of warehousing space, and 10,000 vehicles per month, we serve over 12,000 pin codes, and we partner with a large number of companies in our ecosystem on the demand side with customers, on the supplier side with a huge number of partners, and the technology side. And I'm glad to see the SAP is represented here because we partner closely with them as well. And so it's something which we work on quite extensively. As I look forward, I think we are going to see.
Hello. Test.
Hello.
Rampraveen sir, extremely sorry to interrupt. Actually, from the ministry side, IT team has joined the call just for the technical check.
Go on, should I hand on? What will
the technical check will take a.
We've seen, and I think many companies like Mahindra Logistics have evolved in this ecosystem. There is a long way to go before supply chains in India, shift from just being a mere capability to a competitive advantage. That change, process of change, is going to apply in multiple dimensions. The proposed national logistics policy and NLEAFs augur well in terms of future regulatory environment with significant transformations, which will probably be enabled as the policy gets implemented. Those changes, along with an accelerated execution of direct freight corridors, will strengthen and further spur multimodal logistics across India. The recent pandemic has emphasized the need for agile and resilient supply chains. I think a subject which Professor Simchi-Levi is an expert in. And we are in India. I think across India we are witnessing a step change or step shift towards customers who are looking at integrating all elements of their supply chain and looking for integrated solutions around that. There is a greater focus on orchestrating not just data and physical process across an entire supply chain in a better way. And this will result in greater integration across different service lines, and companies will invest much more in deepening their fulfillment capabilities, expanding warehousing, investing a lot more in technology to enable that, and really taking automation to the edge of the physical process. Digitization and data sciences are at the core of what many of these changes will bring. The focus is not just on integrating the data, but really taking that integration to the edge of the supply chain and then leveraging big data to design and manage agility on a real-time basis. Today, as customers have to manage huge variability within in-country and cross-border on inbound supply chains and a very significant and continuously shifting omni-channels and go-to-market architecture, technology is going to be far important than ever before in our ability to visualize these supply chains and orchestrate across them. And these changes can be pretty dramatic, for an industry which has been evolving, but evolving at a slow pace. Really, these can present dramatic but also exciting changes. And as a player in the industry, I think while these changes will be significant challenges as well, among them the most significant challenge is going to be learning. Is going to be human capital. And for the supply chain industry as a function in companies, the entire ecosystem and all its participants, human capital is going to be really critical. And while knowledge is important, learning and continuously learning is going to be is going to really be the differentiator between the organizations which win, and frankly the individuals who will win in this as well. Members in all part of this ecosystem, whether they're users, logistics companies like ourselves, technology providers, we'll all have to reinvent ourselves continuously. And in this context, programs such as the NITIE program on supply chain digitization and management are critical for all members of our industry. It provides a platform for many industry resources to come and learn and upskill themselves in what I think is going to be the most critical dimension for the future of the supply chain and the logistics industry in India. And to that extent, I would like to acknowledge and thank NITIE for conceptualizing and executing this program. Congratulations to the faculty and students and the administration for organizing this. Lastly, my congratulations to the attendees of the program. I'm sure the program and its learnings will help position you to add great value to yourself and your organizations in the future. I think we have some great speakers today, and like all of you, I'm looking forward to hearing from them as well. Wishing you all great success for the future, and thank you.
Thank you, Rampraveen, sir. As you rightly mentioned, digitization and data science is going to be key going ahead after the pandemic era. And this exact thought was behind organizing this global certification course. And I'd like to thank Director Sir and Simchi-Levi sir for organizing this event. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to invite Senior Vice President and MD of SAP Labs India, Ms. Sindhu Gangadharan. As we all know, SAP is the world's leading provider of business software solutions and the market leader. In enterprise application software with their focus on technology revolution. Sindhu ma'am has been with SAP for more than 2 decades. Ma'am, like Director Sir mentioned, we all have been hearing from you on YouTube and reading your tweets. I'm pretty sure the attendees here are extremely excited to hear it from you. I once again welcome you to the NITIE platform, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, and good evening to all of you. It gives me such immense pleasure to be here today at the closing ceremony of the Global Online Certification course on Supply Chain Management and Digitization by NITIE. Thank you also for the very kind words at the beginning, Professor Manoj Tiwari. That's really nice. And it's also great to be here with the other eminent leaders, including our Honorable Cabinet Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, as well as other leaders from the industry. It was great to listen in earlier as well, and other members from the government. And to begin with, I'd like to start off by saying hearty congratulations to everyone who's graduating today. I've been told that the program was attended by more than 1,500 students, and not just students, also from industry professionals from across the world, which I think is a huge reflection of the popularity of supply chain digitization as a core topic in today's businesses. And also, I think it's a huge success for this program itself. And on that note, once again, congratulations also to Professor David Simchi-Levi, as well as the NITIE director, Dr. Manoj Tiwari, once again. So if you ask me in the next 5 to 10 minutes, what I'd like to do, and we've heard already quite a bit, right? And you're all in the details. What I'd like to do is very quickly touch upon the relevance of supply chain, particularly around digitization of supply chains, and from an industry perspective, why this is super important. And as you already know, supply chain management is an integral part of pretty much any enterprise, any industry that you can think of. And it's absolutely, like you heard before, it can be a game changer for a high growth organization. And any growing organization clearly needs us to be able to forecast demand, and based on that also determine what is the, how do you source or produce your goods to meet that kind of demand, and then also reliably deliver to your customers. And but at the same time, I think what's also key is making sure that you hold on to only that much inventory that is absolutely necessary. And we also know that given these times, product cycles are very compressing, but at the same time, you know, the design variability is definitely on the rise. The demand is constantly fluctuating, but at the same time, the expected speed of time to delivery is definitely shrinking. And all these market realities have placed tremendous operational pressure on this entire life cycle that organizations have, be it on their products, be it on their assets, be it on their people. And the only way that we can address these kind of challenges is to deliver that end-to-end digital supply chain, all the way from design to planning to manufacturing to logistics, as well as to manage your operations. Now, any way you go about it, I think it's very clear, failing to plan your supply chain can very quickly derail a growing organization. But at the same time, we also know putting the right strategic focus on it will absolutely make any organization, pretty much in any industry, to take themselves to new heights. And having supply chain management professionals in the boardroom ensures that the best planning is possible. Therefore, I think what I can say to all of you who've just graduated, you've absolutely made the right decision by specializing in supply chain management. Now, we also know that it's a very dynamic industry out there, and everywhere you go, you definitely need those very strategic thinkers. And what I can assure you is, irrespective of where you are in which industry, what you'd be expected to do is really think ahead of the times, right? You'd be really expected to think several moves ahead. And a core reason why supply chain is clearly becoming so appealing is because the tremendous breadth of what it offers and what it encompasses. And I think if you've heard very clearly, Mr. Swaminathan also earlier on talked about the importance of technologies which is being used in supply chains. And the integration of technologies, be it IoT or artificial intelligence or blockchain or predictive analytics, and all of these technologies have clearly revolutionized supply chains. Now, what is on top of our heads, and if you just look at how supply chains have been tested, the resilience of supply chains, we talked about it, COVID-19, right? I mean, this has clearly, the pandemic clearly changed our lives, I can say it forever, and even more so for all of our industries as well. Because what the pandemic did was exposed fundamental flaws in the structural vulnerabilities in supply chains. And the pandemic has also clearly demonstrated the importance of very resilient, but at the same time, extremely flexible supply chains. And organizations have discovered that the agility that they bring in is very crucial for not just their...
Hello.
Okay, you still doing your sound test, or? I think one of the things that have come up very clearly is that agility has been extremely crucial, right? And not just for the short-term continuity, but definitely also for organizations' long-term survival. And since many supply chains are still based on very transactional, very reactive models, then you don't have that visibility that we all need, or this collaboration that we need, or the coordination that we need. And so all in all, many organizations clearly never saw something like the pandemic coming and was also not prepared to deal with the ripple effects on their supply chains worldwide. And this also the major shifts that came out of the pandemic in 2020, I think clearly for all of us, it was absolutely front and center that supply chain digitization is no longer an option, but it's clearly a priority for survival. Which brings me to supply chain 4.0, which is the next generation digital supply chain. And if you ask me, an organization's response to the recent pandemic has almost become like a litmus test for understanding the potential pitfalls associated with their current strategy, as well as their approach to risk management, particularly when you're talking about a global crisis. And I think all of us have seen it over the last months, how the pandemic has forced decades of what enterprises put into their digital transformation literally to happen in a matter of few months, including, of course, the digitization of their entire supply chains. And it's no secret that supply chain 4.0 makes an organization much more faster, much more flexible, much more granular, much more accurate, and most importantly, much more efficient. And learning from the challenges experienced over the course of the pandemic, I think it's very clear that executive leadership teams are now highly motivated to implement supply chain risk mitigation strategies that really help them to elevate the impacts of both the current crisis as well as future global crises that might arise by clearly also leveraging digital tech capabilities as well as emerging technologies. So if you ask me, how exactly does the supply chain of the future look like? And here again, if you look at the amount of disruption in today's business climate, the need and the ability profound, because this includes everything around revenue growth, in everything around significant waste reduction, increased market share of your preferred suppliers, recognition of revenue at the earliest opportunity, but at the same time, the ability to offer value-added services on top to your customers. And it's really about those advanced technologies which help in transforming those supply chains into what I call as true data-powered strategic assets and those engines for innovation. And this is a result of which enterprises can become a lot more responsive to their market variability, to their customer variability, and drive that kind of significant value, not just for themselves, but also for each business that is part of their connected supply chain. And besides that, I think I heard the word earlier on about the green supply chain, right? And I think we'd all agree that there is a significant shift towards sustainable business practices, which is not just being driven by organizations, but governments, by consumers, by investors, and even more by our own employees as well. And I think it's clear, right? While most organizations monitor and measure the CO2 emissions of their production sites, customers are increasingly demanding the visibility into the full carbon footprint of the individual products that they purchase. And it's very clear discerning consumers are inclined to go with those organizations that deliver transparency, while clearly they are shunning away those who are kind of indifferent to the environment. So organizational leaders will therefore need to do a much more than just managing their top or bottom line, and they are being increasingly held accountable for what we call as managing their green line, right? And I think Mr. Agarwal, you referred to as the green supply chain at the beginning. And this is also why technology companies like ours at SAP, we launched our Climate 21 program, which is all about also looking at carbon emissions accounting right into your core business processes, right? And this goes a long way to address climate change. In fact, leading analysts like Gartner predicts that by 2023, at least 50% of large global companies will be using technologies like AI, advanced analytics, as well as IoT to drive sustainable supply chain operations. Therefore, all in all, what I can only say, it's such an exciting time to be at this forefront of this revolution and this change that we're all seeing in supply chain management. With that, what can I say? In closing, I'd say that supply chain management is the dynamic industry that clearly attracts very strategic thinkers like each and every one of you graduating today. I want to thank you for having me here. It's been great listening in. And I wish each and every one of you graduating very successful and a lot of fun ahead in your careers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sindhu ma'am. There was one constant word in your address, which was technology. And I'm pretty sure under your guidance, SAP India and will help India as well as the world cope up with the supply chain problems and become a more resilient supply chain for the future. Thank you, ma'am, once again. I'd now like to call upon the lead instructor of this course, Professor David Simchi-Levi, sir, from MIT, USA, to share his thoughts over the about the last couple of months of journey, as well as his last final words of wisdom for our attendees. David, sir, over to you.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Leaders from government, leaders from industry, guests, students, participants. Let me start by thanking NITIE, and in particular, the leadership of Professor Manoj for organizing, coordinating, administrating the last 10 weeks and this new course on supply chain digitization and management. The last 10 weeks were an important learning opportunity for all of us, for participants, for instructors, for coordinators. This was indeed a global collaboration between NITIE, industry, and academia, with student and executive from around the world. In this course, if you just look at what we have done over the last 10 or 9 weeks, we in fact focused on the future of supply chain. And the beauty is that the future is right here. And it includes at a high level 4 key strategies. The first is the ability to be responsive to demand. We talked about supply chain segmentation. We talked about smart S&OP, smart execution. We talked about flexible manufacturing. We discussed omni-channel. All are designed to allow companies to be responsive to demand. That's the first level. The second level that we focused on is emphasizing ongoing resiliency. Remember, method, techniques, analytics for resiliency were developed after events like the tsunami in Japan and the flood in Thailand, and we, in this class, focus on how to use them. I also want to remind you that before the pandemic, very few companies were focusing on supply chain resiliency but the pandemic changed everything. Today, resiliency is the buzzword of supply chain executive. What we focus on here was how to identify the level of resiliency, how to design strategies to mitigate risk, and how to make sure that we can respond effectively to a disruption. The third element in this class was about optimizing cost, from a combination of push-pull strategies to inventory and waste reduction, all the way to automation. And finally, and importantly, this is not just about cost or resiliency or responsiveness to demand. This is also about how to do good for society, how to make sure that the organization is focusing on corporate social responsibility with carbon reduction and carbon visibility, with circular design, with waste reduction. But all of these are strategies that are available for companies to use. And this is how companies today compete and how nations attract industry to position their manufacturing, their supply chain in different countries. Supply chain, as we emphasize throughout this class, can be used as a competitive weapon. And I want to highlight this just with two numbers. If you think about US logistics cost, over the last 10 or 15 or 20 years, it has been going down dramatically. In fact, US logistics cost as a percentage of the US GDP today is about 8%. Compare this to India. India, using the same measure, is about 14%, 1/4. This provides India a big opportunity. Using strategies similar to what we have focused in, allows the government to position India as a competitive nation, and companies are using supply chain as a competitive weapon. I hope this learning will be followed with action by people who participated in this class. I enjoy this experience immensely. I want to thank again Manoj, Professor Manoj, the organizer. And I want to emphasize this is the first example of joint collaboration between us here in the US and NITIE. We will follow up with a new class around data science and data analytics in supply chain management. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Professor Manoj.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, David, sir. I'm pretty sure NITIE will be honored to host you once again for future courses in technology and supply chain management. I'd like to know the panelists that we are just waiting for, Honorable Minister, sir.
Here, to all the panelists, I request and I just want to advise, I just want to inform that our Honorable Chairman of Board of Governors, Shri Kiran Shetty, of logistics, and I can say that he is one of the most benevolent, you can say, industrialist that we have seen, and he's a humble person who has achieved great heights. Who has achieved great heights in the Cargo Logistics Limited, and has founded his world-class company. So, Mr. Shetty was conferred with Belgium's highest civilian honor, the distinction of the Commander of the Order of the Leopold II by HM King Philippine. I found that after he has taken over as the Chairman Board of Governors of the NITIE, there are several initiatives under his leadership we are taking to find out the visibility of the NITIE, and also a lot of internal reforms we are conducting. And in this context, I can cite that this kind of example of such courses where we have to take the help of experts like Professor David, who is well-known authority in the world. And there are a few other courses that we are going to have with him. And main idea is to, as David has also suggested, that we have to minimize the logistic cost of the whole nation, because more and more expert, if they will go, then they will know very well that the moment transportation cost is reduced by having one of the world-class infrastructure, as our Honorable Minister is trying to achieve by having Bharat Mala and other projects. And simultaneously, the other aspects of the inventory control, like warehousing and then digitization, risk mitigation, all other things can also be taken care simultaneously. So what I can say that because of the intervention of our chairman, we are also having so many such initiatives in days to come up. And I'm sure that once our honorable ministers will join, then I think our chairman will also give a lot of ideas that what he is having about the logistics sector as well as about the NITIE. And in this context, there are several things which are in pipeline, which he will talk about that. And now I hope that any other panelists, if they want to say something, we can go ahead with it till our main chief guest, Honorable Minister, arrives on the screen actually. So, Atulji. I think there is some delay in the arrival of the minister. So hope that very soon.
warehouses, handling equipment, storage facilities, and the private operators have created tremendous amount of competition among each other, and that became a very efficient model. And obviously, then the whole rail infrastructure to connect the ports to the inland depots. Containerization is always about end-to-end, as all of you know. The inland container depots are like in landlocked cities like Delhi, Indore, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Nagpur. These are some of the major cities, manufacturing areas where the inland containers were developed. And then the Indian Railway decided to use their land bank and formed a subsidiary called Container Corporation of India, who have set up these inland depots over the last 30 years. Today, Concor has almost about 80 to 85% of the railway traffic, the international EXIM, what we call as export-import container traffic, which goes from the ports to the terminals and inland terminals into the ports. 85% of the market share is with Container Corporation of India. And as probably most of you heard, that Container Corporation of India is a publicly traded company, and the government, if I remember correctly, holds close to about 60%, and they want to divest 30% to private operators and hand over the management of that company on a privatization program. So on top of that, you also have what we call as freight forwarders, and freight forwarders are typically an intermediaries who plays a role between the shipping lines, the container freight operators, Container Corporation of India, where the shippers appoint a freight forwarder for doing their custom clearance, for their air freight, for their sea freight, for their road transportation, and for their warehousing requirements, and any other documentation that may be required. So the freight forwarders are the one who does the value addition of all that what I said, and then they hand over the rest of the operators. This is broadly the structure of the logistic industry. This I'm primarily talking only about the containerized businesses. So Professor David mentioned about India's logistic cost at 14% versus the Western worlds have matured and achieved an 8% logistic cost. I have a point of view there. I think that one of the major issues that two major issues in my point of view, which is causing the logistic cost, is primarily because of the delays in the ports for clearance of the containers. In the process, there are multiple charges that the beneficial cargo owners have to pay. That is one major reason. And all this is happening primarily because one is the excessive permissions and approvals that is required for a shipment to move from point A to point B. There are delays, there are infrastructure bottlenecks, delay in movement of containers, say for example from Delhi or Ludhiana to JNPT, which takes much longer time. I'm very happy to say that the government over the last 15, 20 years have taken lots and lots of initiatives to streamline this. The one being building and completion of the Delhi-Mumbai freight corridor, the Western freight corridor, what we call, and also the Eastern freight corridor. And if you look at in this budget, the finance minister has also allocated a lot of resources for building more freight corridors between west to south and east to south, and kind of create a necklace around the country where you have dedicated freight corridors run all the way from Ludhiana to hopefully till Coimbatore, or maybe even Tuticorin. So this is one of the great initiatives where your containers can arrive from Delhi to JNPT within 18 to 15 hours. And they will come on a double stack. So that obviously will bring down the cost quite substantially. The second part is also about a lot of digitization where there will be faceless assessment of the documents, and there also a special status given to the cargo beneficiary owners to register with the customs and get the approval for automatic clearance of their shipments for export or for import. They also introduced what we call as direct port delivery. The containers can now move from ports to the shipper's premises directly. I see the minister here already. So I'll stop here and then we'll continue the program later. Good afternoon,
you,
sir.
sir.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Gadkari. This is Shashi. Very nice meeting you again.
Thank you, sir, for giving this advice. Now, formally, sir, we extend our warm welcome to our honorable and beloved Minister, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji. Sir, I am Manoj Kumar Tiwari, Director, NITIE Mumbai. And sir, here, NITIE is honored to host you for this closing ceremony of the Global Certification Course on Supply Chain Digitization and Management, in association with one of the world-renowned professor who is known as thought leader of the logistics and supply chain. Sir, he is also in the panelist. Professor David Simchi-Levi. He is from MIT, USA, sir. So our minister is one of the most visionary minister that we all know in our country has ever witnessed. And and we know that he is a cabinet minister of road transport and highways, and also the minister of MSME. Shri Nitin ji has always been consistently engaged in accomplishing PM Narendra Modi's dream of building a new India. He is credited with achieving fastest highway construction rate, taking it from 3 kilometers per day to 30 kilometers per day under the Bharatmala project. Under his reign as a Minister of MSME, he has rolled out a host of regulatory and credit schemes to facilitate the creation of robust manufacturing hub in the country with MSME and also it's a main center. Honorable Minister also aims to make India a leading export hub in near future. Adoption of technology has been the core strategy of him. Sir, in line with your vision, I feel proud to mention that NITIE successfully organized the Global Certification Course on Supply Chain Digitization and Management in association with the Professor David Simchi-Levi of MIT. This course focused at promoting digitization and tackling supply chain disruptions and risks such as the COVID-19 pandemic through upskilling the more than 2,500 plus industry professionals, budding managers, academicians, and advanced technologies in the field of supply chain analytics. The course has 1,000 plus corporate participants from leading companies like Amul, Reliance, Apple, Amazon, Mahindra, HUL, Procter and Gamble, Deloitte, PwC, Titan, General Mills, and Marico, J&J, etc. And the course has 1,500 plus participants from the leading national and international institutions like IIMs, IITs, IIFTs, University of London, Warwick University, and Arab Open University, etc. We at NITIE are hopeful that this course will help the participating corporates and students in creating a resilient and futuristic supply chain while achieving much bigger vision of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. NITIE regularly organizes several executive education programs in the domain of logistics, supply chain management, operations, and will continue to do so hereafter. Sir, I once again welcome Nitin Gadkari ji to NITIE, and now we would like to call upon our beloved and honorable chairman, Sri Kiran Shetty ji, who is Board of Governors of NITIE and Chairman of All Cargo Logistics. He is a very humble person who has achieved greater heights in all cargo logistics and founded this world-class company Mr. Shetty was conferred the Belgium's highest civilian honor, distinction of Commander of Order of Leopold II by HM King Philippe in 2015. Now I request my Honorable Chairman to have some words before our Honorable Minister say his own speak. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman sir, may I request you to unmute yourself?
Sorry, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Tiwari, for a very generous introduction. Honorable Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Professor David Simchi-Levi, Mr. Swaminathan, Mrs. Gangadharan, NITIE Director Mr. Tiwari, the deans, the faculty, the management staff, my dear students, and fellow members of the corporate world. It is a pleasure for me to address all of you today. Also, it is a pleasure for me to share the dais with Mr. Gadkari and other dignitaries on a wonderful event like this. Last year, around the same time, I received a very special award from Honorable Minister at the Sahara Star Hotel as the visionary business leader from one of the chambers of commerce. I, of course, had the privilege to also meet him a few times when he was the shipping minister. He is among the most dynamic leader in this great country and is a big thinker, no nonsense go-getter. We all are so proud of him. His unmatched work, whenever he is in power or otherwise, is unmatched. I'm a huge fan of him. Today, we are delighted to have Mr. Gadkari as a chief guest in this closing ceremony of the world-renowned program designed around supply chain resiliency and flexibility, green supply chain, digitalization, etc. This is an extremely special day for NITIE to hold such a training program of the magnitude where the attendees participated from across the Indian industry and many universities and companies around the world. This is a very special program which is most relevant topic for NITIE students and to the Indian industry. I will not go into the details of the program, which has already been spoken about by Professor David and Mrs. Gangadharan. Due to the paucity of time, I accept to say that the program like this will help to a great deal in our maturity by learning from the global experiences. The supply chain digitalization and management is absolutely critical when India is poised to grow in its industrial inputs, competitiveness, exponential growth in the merchandise exports in order for us to match some of the global competitors around the world. So India does not lose this great opportunity post-COVID-19 in the digital world. I therefore encourage more such programs conducted by the educational institutions in the days to come. We must thank Professor Tiwari and Professor David Simchi and his team for thinking through a great initiative and helping NITIE to hold something like this at a time like this, and has been able to bring many participants to this program. This also come at a very good time for NITIE itself, as it is aiming at connecting a lot more to the corporate world with its MDP program, campus recruitments in greater depth, and helping the Indian industry to take the advantage from NITIE's extraordinary strength of research and project related to supply chain management. We are very proud of the contribution of NITIE, which has a huge legacy, having contributed a lot to the Indian industry through its students, who later became the leaders in many organizations and government undertakings, as well as in important initiatives in the private sector. NITIE indeed can do a lot more. My appeal to the minister to help NITIE in the corridors of power by using its services on various research and consulting projects this institution can provide. I am sure the team in NITIE would help do a detailed presentation at a later date on its strengths, which can be leveraged by the government undertakings and departments. I also appeal to the minister to think about measures under which NITIE could gain autonomy for it to take its destiny on its own hands, being a highly matured institution of repute. The institution does not need to control by the government in a current environment. Similar autonomy has been provided recently to some of the premium institutions in the country, such as the IITs, IIMs, and NITs. We can again come and talk to you, sir, at an appropriate time, why we believe in this. I have been the chairman of the Board of Governors of NITIE since the last 6 months or so. I can see the enthusiasm and commitment by the director and his team to help NITIE to become among the top 5 management education institutions in the country from the position of 12 as of now. As all of you know, India is the largest democracy in the world, which makes us a very transparent society. We have a very fair judiciary. Right now, we are blessed with one of the best governments in the world, which is committed deeply for India to become the 3rd largest economy within the next 3 to 5 years. This government is deeply committed to some of the most daring and transformational reforms to help India to be the most progressive country in the world, while taking together every citizen in this country as per the defined programs and actions. The Indian industry is completely with you, sir, in all these wonderful intentions of this government. The credit for this obviously goes to the Honorable Prime Minister and his competent cabinet colleagues like Mr. Gadkari. I spoke a little bit before you come into the program, sir, about the Indian logistic industry, where it stands and what it constitutes all about. And just to add, the freight corridors are being built. The Container Corporation of India is likely to be privatized. A lot of infrastructure projects are underway, and a lot of digitization are happening around the government departments, which will facilitate India to become one of the most competitive supply chain management in the Southeast Asia and in Asia itself. We can be a real alternative for China, and we are the intellectual and the spiritual capital of this world, and India can bring a lot to this world and lead the world from the front. And I hope that we all will live to see that day. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful session.
Thank you. Now I request our Honorable Minister to enlighten us by your views, sir, about the program that we have communicated to you, sir, and also talked about you. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My friend Mr. Shashi Shetty, Chairman NITIE Mumbai, distinguished guest, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege for me to deliver the keynote address on the closing ceremony of Global Online Certification Program on Supply Chain Digitization and Management by NITIE Mumbai. NITIE is dedicated to supporting Indian businesses in making global presence by working not only in manufacturing sector, but all the dynamic sector of the Indian economy. Since NITIE plays a crucial role in shaping the MSMEs, therefore it is of relevance that I speak to you about the MSME sector and the steps taken under by the government of India to support the MSME sector, particularly in the aftermath of pandemic. But at the same time, I have experience about the great contribution of Mr. Shetty in the field of shipping and logistics. Actually, he received many awards. He is one of the dynamic businessmen who has already given a good appropriate vision for this business. So I always appreciate, as a young generation, he start his business, and his success story is very important for Indian shipping industry and the logistic industry. He is not telling you only about the theory, but practically his success in the business globally is very important for all Indians. And because of his great experience in the business, 100% his experience is giving you new vision for making your business in logistics. So the both things are there. As a president of NITIE also, he is giving you his practical experience about his business, which is very important. I know that the theory is equally important, but the professional success is more important than the theory. So here are the both examples that the good theory is there. At the same time, good professional success story is there. So it is really a good combination for the institution. The MSME sector is the backbone of our economy, and the development of the sector is a fundamental in ensuring balanced economic growth. Presently, the MSME contributes 30% of the GDP growth. Now our planning is to take it up to the 40%. Presently, the export of India, 48% is from MSMEs. So we need now planning to make it up to 60%. And the most important thing related with the MSME is we have up till now created 11 crore jobs. And where our planning is to create more 5 crore jobs in next 5 years. This is the most important thing for country. We are the country, we are facing poverty. And poverty is a problem because of unemployment. And unemployment is a problem where we can create capital investment in the backward area, particularly socially, economically, educationally backward, and 115 aspirant districts. And you know the story of Khadi village industries. Presently, we have the turnover of 88,000 crores from the village industry, Khadi Gramodyog. And my planning is to take this turnover up to 5 lakh crores. We have successfully making paint from cow dung. It's really my plan and idea is to make the manufacturing unit in every village. And we can give the rate of 5 rupees per kg for cow dung. So it is going to change the socio-economic transformation of that area. The paint is internationally certified by the laboratories, is good. At the same time, having 8 features which are additionally there. It is to be best distemper and the enamel paint or whatever the available in the market as far as the quality is concerned. But we need to use this technology, innovation, research, particularly for the rural agriculture and tribal area, where we need more investment, more employment potential, because the eradication of the poverty is the main mission for the government and where we need to work more. As far as MSME sector has the potential to strengthen the socio-economic growth of the nation by providing a solution of unemployment and low income problem, and this will further lower the inequalities between the geographical areas in terms of economic imbalances. The Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy was production with the masses. We need maximum production with the maximum number of the people. We need the technology where we can create more employment potential. Someone was talking about me about driverless car. I said, no, I'm not going to allow this car in the country, because in the country, the drivers where we are creating maximum employment potential. Country to country, the problems are different. So our country, we have got the young, talented engineering manpower, highest in the world available in our country. We need to develop the technology, innovation and research the way in which that we can create more export and we can create more employment potential. The innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, research, skill and successful practices. We name it as a knowledge and conversion of knowledge into wealth is the future for the country. I am always talking about these two philosophies. One is knowledge to wealth and the other is conversion of waste into wealth. Whatever the waste is there, using the appropriate technology, you can convert waste into wealth. The ecology and environment is equally important. We need to develop the country in a way where we need to maintain the ecology and environment standards, international standards in the country, which is really important for the country. So for that reason, we need to increase the growth. But at the same time, sustainability is equally important. And for that reason, the ecology and environment is also important. So we need to think with a vision where we can make our India as a Atmanirbhar Bharat ideology, by which we can make Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is exactly the Bharat which is economically, globally on number 1. Now we are making our automobile industry. The volume of industry is 4,50,000 crore. And as a minister, I am trying to make it up to 10 lakh crores. We have all automobile brands present in India, from Mercedes, Toyota, Honda, then Hyundai, all are here. And now we are launching the policy for making of ethanol, methanol, biodiesel, bio-CNG, electric and hydrogen fuel cell as a fuel. So it is for the future. And already we have a success story. On the basis of that, I am confident that we will make alternative fuel automobile industry in the country, which is import substitute, cost effective, pollution free and indigenous. Everywhere there is a potential. When I am talking with Mr. Shetty, I was always telling him to think about using of alternative fuel in shipping. We can use LNG as a fuel in shipping. We can make methanol from coal and we can use that methanol in the shipping. Already there are a lot of successful experiments are there. So exactly in the way in which by taking the appropriate technology available in the world and making the research and study of all successful practices, this is the time for India to accept all this knowledge, which is the future knowledge for the world, and to develop in our country by which we can make Indian economy globally strong. And that is exactly the way in which the logistics sector is very important. MSME sector has the potential of strengthen the socio-economic growth of the nation. At the same time, there are challenges and opportunities associated with the coronavirus pandemic. Because of coronavirus, we are facing a lot of problems. But I will tell you, now this is the time for the country that we need to understand art of living with COVID-19. We need to create positivity and self-confidence in the mind of the people. 100% we are going to win this war. Either it is economic war or war against the COVID-19. I am confident that we will win this war. But there is negativity, frustration, and economic challenges are there. Our industries, MSMEs, and all sector, trade and business are facing crucial problem because of COVID-19. But not only we are facing, the whole world is facing. But this is the time for all of us to create positivity and self-confidence to fight with this COVID-19 and our economic war. I am confident that we will win this war. I always remember that song of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, that kadam se kadam milakar chalna hoga. And one of the song which again I remember that koshish karne walon ki kabhi haar nahi hoti. And the third important is hum honge kamyab. The hum honge kamyab is the positive spirit which we need to create in the mind of the people, by which we can accelerate them in a positive way for positive line for development and for accepting the technology and make Indian economy strong. So 100% I am confident about it. The need of strengthening the supply chain and its digitization emerged out as an important area. During the pandemic, it has impacted the businesses heavily in terms of their revenue loss and day-to-day operations. Considering the need for effective supply chain management for MSMEs, global online certification program on supply chain digitization and management may contribute to strengthening the supply chain ecosystem. MSME should also focus on technological innovations, productivity enhancement, MSME internationalization, trade enhancement solution, including market linkages and automation and digital readiness. To improve the growth of MSMEs on a substantial basis in post-COVID phase, strategic steps should be initiated at all levels. The requirement to rebuild and create new avenues of growth for the speedy revival of business is also crucial for realizing the larger vision of making Indian 5 trillion economy of 2024. The government of India has announced multiple measures that aim to holistically revive the MSME sector. The Atmanirbhar Bharat economic package of 20 lakh crore, equivalent to 10% of Indian GDP launch in May 2020, is intended to provide the requirement support to various sectors of the economy, including the MSMEs. The ministry has started working on important substitution for many products as a sustainable solution to strengthen the supply chains, develop SMEs, and progress towards Make in India and local for local approaches. The focus should be on reducing the input cost, logistic cost, and the overall production cost to become competitive in the global market. This is the most important thing where we need to reduce the logistic cost, power cost, and capital cost. Without that, we cannot going to reduce the production cost. I request Mr. Shetty that you should plan for making of water transport in the river. At the time when I was minister, I was completed the waterways from Varanasi to Haldia. And Haldia to going up to Brahmaputra, the sea is there. And after Brahmaputra, dredging is completed. You can go up to Southeast Asia, Northeast India, and even going up to the China, Indonesia, Malaysia by waterways. Now we are also making dredging between Allahabad, Prayagraj to 2-meter dredging up to Varanasi. And now the plan was that we have submitted project to World Bank, starting it from Delhi, from Yamuna. And Yamuna, it starts from going to Mathura, Mathura to Agra, Agra to Etawah, and Etawah to Allahabad, by which it connected to Varanasi. And there will be a linkage, directly start taking material from Delhi, we can take it up to the China. So going by road, is, for example, the cost is 10 rupees. Going by railway is 6 rupees. And going by waterways is 1 rupees. And if we can use methanol as a fuel, we can make this cost 50 paisa. So this is the time that we need to take the advantage of different technology which are available. We need to use different modes for that. We are now amphibious seaplane we have. We are making public transport on electricity, mass rapid transport on electricity. We are making 22 green express highway. We are making highway between Mumbai to Delhi where 50% work has completed. You will be within 12 hours from Mumbai to Delhi by your own car. We are now making this Meerut Express Highway going to inaugurate it in next month. Presently, it takes 4.5 hours from Meerut to Delhi, but after June, it will be only 45 minutes. We are making from Delhi to Dehradun, Delhi to Chandigarh, and Delhi to Haridwar within 2 hours. We are making Axis Control Express Highway. Everywhere we are making lot of highways. The one of the reason is how we can reduce the cost. Presently, one truck taking material from Mumbai to Delhi, at least in a month, he is taking 4 to 5 trips. But after this Green Express Highway, he can take 8 to 10 trips per month. It can be possible. So that is going to reduce the logistic cost. And if it is possible for us to make the transport on LNG, then there is a saving as compared with diesel, at least the 60% saving is there. And in place of LNG also, if we can go for electric trucks, we are in the process. We are making lithium ion batteries, zinc ion battery, aluminum ion battery, sodium ion battery, making hydrogen fuels. A lot of things are moving fast. And presently the lithium ion battery, 81% we are manufacturing in India. I am confident in due course of time, within 6 months, 100% we are going to manufacture lithium ion battery in India. So it can going to reduce the lot of thing, cost of the logistic cost, that is very important. I just launched a JCB of using bio CNG and making CNG from cotton straw, wheat straw, rice straw, and bagasse. You can convert municipal waste to get it methane from that, and bifurcate methane from CO2, will get the bio CNG. There are a lot of new innovations have already been started. So this is the time for the new technology by which we can reduce the logistic cost. We can reduce now the solar panel on the rooftop. The scheme has started with the cooperation of State Bank. The World Bank has given 4,000 crore for that. The MSME has already started this scheme all over the country, and the State Bank is the responsible for implement the scheme, where you can take the solar panel on your roof, by which you can adding the power into the grid, by which you are going to reduce the power cost. So we have to think on the line that how we can reduce the logistic cost, power cost, labor cost. Then by using the best technology, how we can don't compromise with the quality. But by making good quality, we can reduce the cost of production. That is very important. We need to reduce logistic cost. We will be more competitive in international market, and that is important for us to increase our export. Without that, we cannot make the success story. So this is the time the raw material is available, technology is available, the trained manpower is available. We have the water transport is available, the ports are there. We are already increased the efficiency of the port. So this is the line by which how we can make this logistic parts and the logistic business profitably. I feel that we need a lot of new adoption of new technology, new innovation in the field. And Mr. Shetty is already doing a lot of things. I am really, I know that your institute is very important. You have to make a lot of research on it. Now I am trying from last many days to start the portal like Alibaba and Amazon for MSME, Bharat Craft. But now we have in collaboration with State Bank. In due course of time, we are going to launch this portal, which is very important for MSME, handloom, handicrafts, khadi, village industry, and which is we are going to market for that. So this is the time that your institution is doing a lot of research work, giving a good vision to the young talented people. The premier institute like you can play a key role in strengthening MSMEs and contribute towards developing a supportive ecosystem. The support areas may include research, sharing global practices, policy advisory, and devising implementation models. I hope that all are able to benefit from this certification program and are able to forge long-lasting partnership that propel your business on a path of growth and success. Your participation in this endeavor is going to help create an ecosystem of collaboration which is mutually beneficial for all. I wish NITIE Mumbai for its future growth and success. Thank you very much. And the boys, particularly who are receiving the certificate, I also wish them for great success in their life. The 100% they will get good jobs and they will contribute for the making Indian economy as a global economy and making India as Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Bharat Mata ki jai.
So nice of you for giving such a lightning talk, and also, sir, we will follow your suggestions, and accordingly, whatever the measures are needed, we will take that one. And sir, recently we are doing some work with the KVIC, sir, and their team has also visited to us. And regarding your Prakriti pens that you mentioned, our people have done some research with them, sir, and we will be very sure it's branding. We may also help them to go ahead with that, sir. So thank you once again, sir, for coming to NITIE platform, and we are really obliged to you, sir.
Thank
Sir,
you very much.
Taking all your good inputs, and we'll work on it, sir. Whatever you have said, we'll definitely work on that. The water transport
Thank
in
you.
particular. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know it's very
Thank
close
you.
to your heart.
Thank you, sir.
Very
Thank you.
pleasure seeing you. You're looking good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Director Sir. Thank you, Chairman Sir. Thanks a lot, Shri Nitin Gadkari for your wise words. I'm pretty sure under Chairman Sir and Director Sir's guidance, NITIE will help in creating a more robust supply chain in India and help the MSME sector to reach new levels. Sir, I'd like to now call upon Professor Susmita Narayan ma'am for a formal vote of thanks. She expertises and is a professor in supply chain management and operations field. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Atharva. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
As we
ma'am.
come to the close of today's session, we are very, very grateful to our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, for accepting NITIE's invite and for his address to all our participants, and for sharing with us about the various initiatives being taken up in the development of the logistics sector of India. Thank you, sir. We at NITIE were honored to have you in our midst today and also extend our gratitude for your support. We are also very grateful to our keynote speakers of today, Mr. Rampraveen Swaminathan, Ms. Sindhu Gangadharan, and our chairman, Mr. Shashi Shetty, for gracing the occasion and for sharing their nuggets of wisdom with us all. We at NITIE hope to stay connected with you going forward. And as already elucidated earlier, the Global's online certification course on supply chain digitization and management was a mammoth exercise spanning close to 3 months of continuous engagement with participants across the world. This incredible journey was possible due to the committed efforts of Professor David Simchi-Levi, who enthralled us week on week with his expertise in supply chain management and digitization efforts in the logistics sector, and for his patient involvement with the participants on the virtual platform that we had used. Professor And thank you for engaging with us through this exercise and for keeping us on our toes with the Q&A sessions, continuous feedback, and for enriching the learning exercise. We were extremely excited to have you on board and cannot wait to have you back again on yet another riveting offering from NITIE. Finally, we at NITIE are extremely grateful to Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari for envisioning this course and for having the conviction in our team to execute it. Thank you, sir, for this faith in our IITs. We also thank our respected faculty members, our deans and registrar, associate deans, the professors in charge, officers and staff across various domains such as academics, alumni affairs, student affairs, administration, director office, accounting, digital infrastructure and estate. This course was performed completely in-house, as already mentioned earlier, with the relentless efforts of a young team of faculty and students at NITIE. I call upon Aditya and Reshu to introduce this team to all viewing this session today on YouTube. Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Swaminathan ma'am. Honorable Nitin Gadkari ji sir, respected Professor Manoj Tiwari sir and Professor David Simchi-Levi sir, respected Chairman Shashi Shetty sir, our most valued invited guests, industry professional and students. I, Aditya Singh, on the behalf of the digital supply chain team, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our college faculties, Professor Sushmita Ryan ma'am, Professor Priyanka Verma, and Professor Debrata Das for their valuable support and guidance. Guidance provided from the inception of the course to its final lecture and even now. A big thank you to my fellow student coordinator, Reshu, for his efforts and ideas to make this course a success. Further, we are grateful to our junior support team, Preeti Bhole, Jyoti Krishna, and Uma Chilakuri and Girish Kumar for demonstrating their skills and excellent handling of the back-end work, which is the backbone of the course. I also wish to express my gratitude to our fellows, Miss Lavanya, Savisachi, Priya, Prakash, Rosaline, Ashutosh, and Dheeraj for giving an excellent coverage to the course through detailed summaries and quizzes which have made our learnings more thorough. I would also like to thank Prerna Management Group and Media Relations Cells who have supported us throughout the course. Thank you everybody for joining this course, and over to you, Atharva.
Now, thank you everyone for joining this session. I once again thank Honorable Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari for coming to this platform, and thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for once again. We welcome and namaskar to you, sir, for coming, and we need your constant encouragement to take NITIE to the new heights, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pranam.
Nitin ji, sir, the entire zonal campus recently to see the technology intervention that is possible through industrial engineering in some of the sectors under KVIC.
ओके
त्याच्यामध्ये आपले सगळे लोक येऊन गेले NITIE मध्ये विजिट करून गेलेत. पुढच्या मीटिंगच्या वेळेला पुढे घेऊन जाऊ तो विषय.
ओके थँक्यू
थँक्यू सर.
धन्यवाद.